section. You guys see whitewash here? That was what was built in 1808. This was built by a West Point graduate named William McCree. He was 19 years old when he was out here building this place. He didn't have a whole bunch of fancy tools, so if you look at the map that you were given at the front, you'll see that there are no parallel lines in this fort. The walls do not meet exactly. There are no 90-degree angles. Good old American just kind of building as he goes. But construction had to stop in 1812. Why? War of 1812, fight the British again. We're out here and we're going to stop the British. Should they invade the city of Savannah? But the British never showed up. You guys see those trees out there? That today is still swamp. What's the problem with living in the middle of the swamp? What's wrong with the mosquitoes? Malaria. Malaria. Malaria is the #1 cause of death here at this fort. And in 1812, we sat here and we fought mosquitoes, and guess who won?
Mosquitoes.
So this fort is abandoned for a little while, and Fort Pulaski down here, the Big Brick Fort, was started. It was thought that being out near the ocean helped with the ocean breezes, keep mosquitoes away. It didn't really work out as well as they had hoped, but it was a much bigger fort, and that's where most people went. This fort was kind of an afterthought until right before the Civil War. Right before the Civil War, we have a steam-powered warship that's invented that can actually make its way through some of the very narrow channels and creeks that flow into the Savannah River that bypass Fort Pulaski. Suddenly, you can get around Fort Pulaski with a steam-powered warship. So that's why we're needed again. This fort is reinforced in the 1850s. That's when this room over here was built. Big powder magazine there is built, and the wall all the way around the fort was built. This fort, when Georgia seceded from the Union in January of 1861, was a federally manned and occupied fort. Guess how many troops were here? Throw up numbers.
None.
Higher than 0, lower than 10. 5. Lower than 5. 2. Lower than 2. One guy. So when the Georgia State Militia shows up, they knock on those big green doors and say, "Hey, can we have the fort, please?" One guy inside said, "Sure, here's the keys." Worked so well, they tried to do the same thing at Fort Pulaski. The bigger fort had more guys there. How many people do you think were there? Throw out number. 10. Lower than 10.
5.
Lower than 5.
3. 1.
Lower than 3, higher than 1. 2. 2 guys. So the same thing happens. Knock on the doors over there, said, "Can we have the fort, please?" 2 guys inside said, "Sure, here you go." So that's how these become Georgia State forts. Notice I don't say Confederate fort. We were captured by the Georgia State forces before the Confederacy existed. Technically, for 2 months, Georgia was its own nation. 2 months after we seceded, joined the rest of the 7 original states of the Confederates. That was in March of 1861. All of our hopes were to keep Fort Pulaski. But what I say was the problem with Pulaski? To be bypassed. And that is exactly what the Union Navy did. They sailed around Fort Pulaski, cutting them off from any help from us or anyone else in the city of Savannah. We knew of one kind of weapon that could save Fort Pulaski. What is the strongest weapon in the Civil War?
Cannon.
It floats. Oh. Special kind of ship. Ironclad warships. We get busy building our first one, the CSS Georgia. We launch her in May of 1862. Fort Pulaski falls in April. We were 1 month too late to use this ship to save Pulaski. But we used the Georgia out here, anchoring near this fort, and between that ironclad and this fort, the Union Navy never tries to attack. So we sit here and we fight mosquitoes. But this time we win, because we have a drug called quinine. It's an anti-malarial medicine. It actually keeps us alive out here. Itchy, but alive. We wait. Well, this fort defends the city against naval attack. Does it do anything against land-based forces? And what does the Union general attack land-based? Starts with an S. William Tecumseh Sherman attacks from that side. This fort does nothing to stop any land-based attack, so we're useless. When he arrives, we evacuate. set fire to everything that's made out of wood here, and evacuate to South Carolina. So if you see something today, such as these pavilions that were where the barracks were, they're rebuilt. They're made out of wood. The brick, though, remained relatively untouched. Sherman walked into an empty fort. And after the Civil War, the cannons that were developed make the ones we have up on top of our wall look puny. The biggest one we have is a 9-inch Dahlgren. Fires about a 50-pound projectile at a range of 3 miles. By the end of the Civil War, the Union has 15-inch Rodmans that can fire a 300-pound projectile at a range of 5 miles. These great guns could tear brick walls apart like this in minutes. So we're abandoned for almost 100 years. And then the state of Georgia opened this back up as a park. But had the mosquitoes gotten any better in the 1960s? I was told that you could stand in the gift shop up there, and if you were looking down towards the fort would look hazy because of all the bugs. So after 10 years, the state shuts the place down, saying no one ever is going to want to come here. And today we're not surrounded by swamps, we're surrounded by factories. You might have seen some as you were driving in. There was rumors in 1975 that a factory was going to buy this place, bulldoze it, and put a factory in. We didn't like that idea. We're the people of Savannah. In 1975, we formed the Coastal Heritage Society, not-for-profit group, to save Fort Jackson. In 1976, we agreed with the state of Georgia on a lease. We actually pay the state of Georgia to be here. We do not receive funding from the federal government, from the state government, or from the city of Savannah. All we have is folks like you coming to see us, so I thank you all for coming out today. Without you, none of this would be possible. So that's a very brief, very quick version of Fort Jackson history. Now I'd actually like to do something that I need practice with. I'm pretty good with the cannon. With this musket here, my boss says I need practice. Could I fire that for you guys?
Yay!
I'm going to be firing it in this direction. I'm going to stand right here so you guys can see what I'm doing. This is a model 1853 Enfield. This is not an American-made weapon. Any idea where it's from? It's from Great Britain. We had a very sophisticated trade deal with them called Guns for Cotton. We sold them our cotton. They gave us
guns.
Very, very complicated. And that is how a weapon like this found its way to Fort Jackson. Went to the city of Savannah, was traded for cotton, and that's how it got here. Effective range of up to 900 yards, but I'm not that good. A soldier like myself could probably hit somebody about 300 yards away. Still not bad for the time, 3 football fields in length. I'm going to go through what is called Hardy's Manual of Arms. That's how you fire this. I'll be wearing these totally not authentic earplugs. When I tell you to cover your ears, please do so. You would carry the musket like this on your shoulder. It's called shoulder arms. It's very uncomfortable because all of the weight is on your fingers. But if the weapon goes off unexpectedly, where's the round going?
Yeah.
Also, with your hand right near the trigger guard, you're walking around with this thing loaded. If you're surprised, you can very easily level it and fire in one motion. That's why you carry it like this. The drill assumes you're in this position already. The first command sounds something like this. Loaded 9 times, load. First thing you do is, with your left hand, grab the musket, put it on the outside of your left foot. Then you take your right hand, slap your cartridge box. This holds all your ammunition. Handle, cartridge. Grab one little paper tube filled with explosives. At the end would have normally been a bullet. I don't have a bullet in here, it is just the powder. Now I have to open this. How am I going to open it without my left hand? Have to have at least 2 teeth in the front of your head and they have to meet. If you don't, you'll be removed from the military. You cannot fire this weapon. Then we charge cartridge. We pour the powder down the barrel. And the last thing that would go in would be the bullet. But it gets stuck right here. So we have to withdraw rammer, ram down cartridge, return rammer. Very important that you return the rammer, or else you have a spear that can be used once. And then you have to figure out something else to ram down the cartridge with. Next command is prime. Lift the musket up. Pull the hammer back 1 click. This is a safety. Pull the trigger, nothing happens. It's called half-cocked. Ever hear the term don't go off half-cocked? Talking about this. Inside this little pouch is our percussion caps. Any of you fired a pop cap gun before as a toy?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly what this is, except our caps look a little bigger. This is what it is. Put it on the end of the musket, and now we're ready. Our commander would tell us to make ready. Safety goes off. Take aim. Might want to cover your ears. The last command is fire. Now that took a while, didn't it? Do you think we'd sit there and say every single order in the middle of battle? So I have a favor for some of you. I know some of you have smartphones. They have timers on them. A soldier should be able to fire 3 shots in 1 minute. I doubt I'm that good yet, but I need practice. So if anyone has a timer, please get it out and get it ready. Last time I did this, I was 1 minute and 10 seconds, so I'm looking to beat that time.
Cover your ears, Tommy.
Shots as quickly as I can. It would sound something like this. Load, fire at will, start the timer. Cover your